The sudden death of Pope Francis has shocked the world, but few know that, after his passing, the secrets of the Vatican are gradually being revealed. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a prominent candidate for the papacy, who once had access to the most closely guarded information of the Vatican, has now unexpectedly revealed things never before known. The special relationship between Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle, built on a shared vision, has not been without controversy. And now, with the recent death of Pope Francis, whispers about financial scandals and hidden truths are becoming increasingly clear. How will this truth change the history of the Vatican? Let's uncover the secrets hidden behind the walls of the Church. Don't forget to leave a comment with 1 if you sympathize with Cardinal Luis Tagle, or 0 if you have a different opinion. Share your thoughts with us. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss what happens next, where we will reveal every secret in this story. I hesitate to say this, but, I wouldn't be truthful if I didn't mention this. After the sudden death of Pope Francis, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a potential successor with access to the most closely guarded secrets of the Vatican, has just revealed the deepest secrets of the Vatican. Their extraordinary relationship, built on a shared vision but marked by controversy, now faces scrutiny as whispers about financial scandals and hidden truths threaten to surface. The big question is, will Tagle expose the concealed facts of the Vatican as an act of revenge or redemption? Let's explore. The concealed truths of the Vatican. After the solemn death of Pope Francis on April 21, 2025, rumors began to spread throughout the Vatican City and beyond about potential revelations from Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. As the Catholic world mourned the loss of the 266th Pope, whispers emerged, suggesting that Tagle, a close friend of the late Pope, could expose the long-held secrets of the Vatican as part of a power shift before the upcoming conclave. These rumors point to a historical pattern that has repeated itself throughout the Church's history. The death of a pope often creates a moment of institutional vulnerability when carefully protected information can emerge as internal power structures are rearranged. The transition between papacies usually becomes a period in which the Church's most closely held secrets face the greatest risk of being revealed. The announcement of Pope Francis's death came from Cardinal Kevin Farrell in a somber statement that echoed across St. Peter's Square, Santo Francesco Roma Francesco. With these words, a crucial transition period began for the Catholic Church, a period that could potentially reveal aspects of the Vatican's governance previously hidden from public view. Perhaps the most significant of the potential revelations are the ongoing financial scandals that continue despite Pope Francis's reform efforts. The Vatican Bank, or the Institute for Religious Works, IOR, became the focal point of controversy with the 2012 Moneyval report revealing $8 billion in assets across 33,000 accounts, and failing to implement 7 of the 16 major recommendations on anti-money laundering. While Pope Francis closed 3,500 IOR accounts and transferred investment operations to Vatican Asset Management, the financial deficit continued as the Economic Council faced a $75 million deficit in 2023. The most infamous financial scandal of Pope Francis's tenure involved a $350 million real estate deal in London, leading to a $136 million loss and the conviction of Cardinal Bettu for embezzlement. In 2020, Cecilia Morona, an associate of Bettu, was arrested under Vatican orders for allegedly embezzling $500,000 allocated for diplomacy. Pope Francis forced Betu to resign amidst these reports, and in December 2020, he ordered the Secretary of State's office to transfer all financial assets to the Apostolic See's asset management after questionable investments had squandered millions of dollars. Cardinal Tagle's position in this financial context is quite complex. Although not directly involved in the financial scandals, his dismissal from Catus Internationalists in 2022 raised questions about his management capabilities. As a potential pope, he would inherit the ongoing financial challenges facing the Vatican, including deficits and the need for greater transparency. Aside from financial issues, the problem of sexual abuse by clergy remains a shadow that looms over the Church. Pope Francis received a large white box containing scandalous documents from Pope Benedict XVI, reportedly containing detailed information about abuse, corruption, and shady dealings. The contents of this collection and how Pope Francis addresses the information within it may now face closer scrutiny. In 2019, Pope Francis convened a summit of bishops on abuse, pledging to leave no stone unturned in bringing abusers to justice and to lift the secrecy of the papacy to increase transparency. Despite these efforts, critics such as Anne Barrett Doyle note that Francis has refused to implement necessary changes to effectively address the abuse issue. Cardinal Tagle's record on addressing clergy abuse has faced criticism. During his tenure as Archbishop of Manila, concerns were raised about his response to abuse allegations. When asked about the lack of prosecutions for accused clergy in the Philippines, Tagle offered this explanation. But civil law is different from what you see in Europe or elsewhere around the world. And do you see that most people in the Philippines are content with resolving this issue within the Church itself? Some people generally trust the official process more than civil cases. This approach of handling abuse cases within the Church rather than through civil prosecution has been criticized by survivor advocacy groups, pointing out a controversial aspect of Tagle's leadership that may be revisited. Vatican's diplomatic activities represent another area where secrets may emerge after Pope Francis's death. His approach to international relations, particularly regarding China and Russia, has sparked controversy. The Vatican's agreement with China regarding bishop appointments, which critics argue has abandoned the underground church amid persecution, and Pope Francis's dialogue with the Russian Orthodox Church after Russia invaded Ukraine have raised questions about the Vatican's diplomatic priorities. Cardinal Tagle's diplomatic stance, especially his defense of the Vatican's agreements with China, aligns with Pope Francis's approach. He argues that these agreements will reassure, comfort, and uplift Chinese Catholics, dismissing criticisms from figures such as Cardinal Joseph Zen, who raised concerns about human rights. The controversies surrounding Israel's criticism of Pope Francis provide further context for understanding the sensitive diplomatic issues the Church faces. In December 2024, Israel accused Pope Francis of double standards after he condemned Israeli airstrikes in Gaza. This accusation followed Pope Francis's comments about the December 20th, 2024 airstrike that killed 10 members of a family, including 7 children, in northern Gaza. Pope Francis called the bombing of children a brutal act, declaring, "Yesterday children were bombed. This is a brutal act. This is not war. I want to say this because it touches my heart. Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs reacted strongly, describing the Pope's comments as particularly disappointing because they did not reflect the actual context and correctness of Israel's counter-terrorism war, a multi-front war that the country was forced to engage in starting October 7, 2023. They argued that the Pope overlooked Hamas's actions, including hostage-taking and using civilians as shields, calling for an end to double standards and the isolation of the Jewish state. This diplomatic tension highlights the geopolitical challenges that the next Pope will face, including navigating complex conflicts where moral clarity may clash with diplomatic considerations. Cardinal Tagle, if elected, will inherit these diplomatic relations and the expectations they create for papal leadership. The controversial statements made by Pope Francis throughout his papacy provide another perspective on understanding the Church's secret struggles between tradition and reform. Pope Francis made several statements on LGBTQ issues, attempting to balance inclusivity with traditional doctrine. His famous 2013 statement, "Who am I to judge?" when asked about gay priests, suggested a more welcoming tone while maintaining the Church's stance that homosexual acts are sinful. Similarly, his approach to divorce and remarriage, political involvement, and international relations often sought to balance reform with tradition, creating a complex legacy that any successor would need to interpret and expand upon. Cardinal Tagle's positions reflect this balanced approach, indicating potential continuity in addressing these sensitive issues. The Vatican Apostolic Archive, renamed in 2019 by Pope Francis from the Vatican Secret Archives, represents another source of potential revelations during this transitional period. In March 2020, Pope Francis ordered the opening of archives related to Pope Pius XIII, 1939-1958, allowing scholars access to documents concerning World War II activities. This move towards transparency set a precedent for future archival revelations that may occur under new leadership. While circulating photos are claimed to show Pope Francis inside the Vatican Archives, they are likely confused with hospital images from March 2025 or AI-generated fake images from 2023. The archives themselves remain a repository of historical information with the potential for controversy. Access to these records and how they are interpreted could shape understanding of Church history and provide insight into future policy decisions. For researchers interested in authentic images of Pope Francis inside the Vatican, the primary sources are Vatican Media, Production Photographica, and the Vatican Museum's Photo Library. These organizations maintain official images recording the Pope's activities, providing visual records of Pope Francis's papacy, which will be used for historical evaluations of his leadership. The potential revelations of Vatican secrets after Pope Francis' death present both challenges and opportunities for Cardinal Tagle and the entire Church. While exposing past failures may temporarily damage the Church's reputation, increasing transparency could ultimately contribute to more effective reforms. The transition period between papacies is a crucial time for the Catholic Church to address institutional weaknesses and chart a course for renewal. As the Church prepares for the conclave expected to begin on May 7, 2025, rumors surrounding the potential revelations of Cardinal Tagle highlight the complex dynamics of Vatican politics. Whether these rumors have substance or are mere speculation, they underscore the tension between the organization's secrecy and the growing demand for transparency in religious leadership. This tension will certainly shape the choice of Pope Francis's successor and the direction of the Catholic Church in the coming years. Let us be our extraordinary link. The relationship between Pope Francis and Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle represents one of the most significant partnerships in the history of modern Catholicism. Characterized by shared values, mutual respect, and a vision of a more inclusive faith community, their connection transcends a simple professional relationship, creating a guiding advisory dynamic. Tagle is both a trusted left-hand man and a potential successor. Born on June 21, 1957, in Manila, Philippines, Tagle's journey to becoming a close confidant of Pope Francis began long before they held their respective leadership positions. His path to the priesthood had an unexpected turning point, as he revealed in an interview. "So, I truly decided that I would become a doctor. Your parents wanted you to become a doctor." "Yes." And I also wanted that. I was good at science and math." His entry into seminary life was due to an unusual circumstance. "So I went to meet the supervisor. I asked, 'What should I write here?' He said, 'Priesthood.' I said, 'Why priesthood?' They said, 'This is the seminary entrance exam.' So yes, I was deceived. Yes, indeed, and I was very angry. This unconventional beginning for Tagle's religious vocation parallels the unexpected journey of Pope Francis to the papacy, perhaps creating a connecting point between two leaders who never sought the highest office they eventually held. Their professional collaboration took significant shape when Pope Francis appointed Tagle as the director of the Pontifical Mission Societies in 2019, a key Vatican position overseeing global missionary work. This appointment represented a significant vote of confidence, placing Tagle in one of the most influential roles in the Church's management structure, further solidifying this trust. In 2020, Tagle was promoted to Cardinal Bishop, becoming the first Filipino to achieve this rank. Subsequent appointments, including membership in the Holy See Heritage Council and various diocesan positions, created a trajectory of advancement that reflected Pope Francis's appreciation for Tagle's competence and vision. This professional relationship is strengthened by their shared commitment to social justice and concern for the marginalized. Both leaders emphasize the Church's responsibility in addressing poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation. Tagle's views on economic justice in the Philippines reflect this shared priority. And I remember it was close to the election time. And then, I also asked him how to choose a mayor, or among the candidates, etc. And he told me that I have lived through 4 presidents, and I'm still a driver. The focus on the lived experiences of ordinary people, especially those enduring poverty, reflects Pope Francis's consistent emphasis on a church for the poor. Their unity on this issue created both an ideological and practical bond as they jointly carried out this vision through Vatican initiatives and global outreach activities. Beyond their professional collaboration, Tagle and Pope Francis developed a warm personal relationship. In February 2025, during Pope Francis's health crisis, Tagle led a prayer service at St. Peter's Square for his recovery, showing personal concern for the Pope's health. In a 2020 interview, Tagle expressed gratitude for Pope Francis's leadership, highlighting their personal connection. Their relationship has not been without challenges. However, the most significant professional failure in their relationship occurred in November 2022 when Pope Francis ended Tagle's presidency at Caritas Internationalists after an independent evaluation. The evaluation identified management and procedural shortcomings affecting employee morale, though no financial or sexual misconduct was reported. While this decision may have caused strain in their relationship, Tagle maintained his other positions at the Vatican and continued to be regarded as a close ally of Pope Francis, indicating that their relationship had overcome this particular challenge. The nickname Asian Francis, often used for Tagle, highlights the perception of unity in their vision and approach. Both leaders emphasize mercy over judgment, dialogue over proclamations, and pastoral sensitivity over rigid doctrine. This comparison not only reflects their similar progressive direction, but also the advisory dynamic between them, with Tagle often implementing and expanding Francis's vision within his own sphere of influence. Do you believe Cardinal Tagle's approach to leadership, often compared to Asian Francis, truly reflects the values of compassion, dialogue, and pastoral sensitivity over rigid doctrine? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Their theological unity is particularly evident in their approach to controversial issues in the Church. Both advocate for a more compassionate approach toward Catholics who are divorced and remarried, including greater acceptance of LGBTQ individuals, while emphasizing the management of the environment as a moral mandate, all while maintaining traditional stances on issues like abortion and euthanasia. They share a nuanced approach that prioritizes pastoral care over doctrinal rigidity. Tagle's leadership style is characterized by humility and authenticity, reflecting Pope Francis's own approach. When asked about his motivation for serving, Tagle shared this reflection. I hesitate to say this, but I wouldn't be truthful if I didn't say it. I think it's love. You know, you love Jesus, and you love the church because I have been loved. I have been loved. You know, even when I know I don't deserve that love, that trust from God and from the church. This emphasis on love over power or ambition sets Tagle apart in the hierarchical structure of the church, which is often tied to institutional politics and reflects Pope Francis's humble approach to leadership. Their communication styles also show significant similarities. Both leaders use modern media to reach a broader audience, particularly the youth. Tagle's presence on social media and his appearances on television demonstrate his efforts to connect with a younger generation. If used correctly, it can become a powerful tool for evangelism and potentially bring more people to Christ. So, in that sense, I intentionally did that, by connecting with, through the media. The acceptance of these modern media channels reflects a common understanding of the changing context of religious participation, with both leaders wanting to meet people where they are, rather than expecting them to conform to traditional church participation structures. Their approach to youth ministry emphasizes dialogue and understanding rather than dogmatic statements, saying, "Why do you doubt your faith?" Well, then we say no. Not asking questions is not a sign that someone is losing their faith. It could be that they are searching, faith, seeking intelligence in faith, rather than blind faith. Openness to these questions aligns with Pope Francis's call for a church that listens and accompanies rather than merely issuing judgments, creating another point of connection in their approach to ministry. Despite their close relationship, Tagle still maintains the characteristic humility when asked about the possibility of working in the Vatican City. "I don't think so. I don't think they want me there." This humility, whether genuine or strategic, presents a stark contrast to the power dynamics traditionally tied to Vatican politics and reflects Pope Francis's own reluctance to accept the traps of papal authority. The depth of their relationship has positioned Tagle as a logical successor to continue Pope Francis's reform legacy. After appointing nearly 80% of the current cardinal electors, Pope Francis has shaped a college of cardinals that could be inclined to choose a candidate who will maintain his vision for the Church. As the Asian Pope, Tagle represents both continuity and renewal, continuing the essential priorities of Pope Francis's papacy while bringing his unique perspective as the potential first Asian Pope. Their final interaction remained private, but Pope Francis's last public days included an important Easter message delivered on April 20, 2025, focusing on peace, especially in conflict zones like Gaza and Ukraine. The message, read by Archbishop Diego Ralli due to the Pope's frailty, called for a ceasefire, the release of hostages, and global disarmament. His appearance that day was brief but meaningful. This final public message emphasized peace and reconciliation, encompassing themes that had shaped both Pope Francis's papacy and his relationship with Cardinal Tagle. Their shared commitment to peace, justice, and inclusion laid the foundation for a collaboration that has shaped the Church's direction over the past decade and could continue to influence its future under Tagle's leadership. The extraordinary bond between Pope Francis and Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle represents more than a personal friendship or professional alliance. It reflects a shared vision for the Catholic Church's engagement with the modern world. Their relationship, characterized by mutual respect and common purpose, positioned Tagle not only as a trusted confidant, but also as a potential successor, creating a cooperative legacy that could shape the Church's direction for generations to come. An uncertain future for the Church. The death of Pope Francis marked a significant moment for the Catholic Church as it faces an uncertain future full of challenges and opportunities. His passing at 7:35 a.m. local time at his residence in Vatican's Casa Santa Marta ended a transformative papacy that reshaped the Catholic Church's engagement with the modern world. Cardinal Kevin Farrell's emotional statement expressed both sorrow and gratitude for Pope Francis's legacy. "The special gratitude of all recommend l'anima de Papa Francesco all'anito amore misericordioso un noi no gracia." This solemn moment marks the beginning of a transition period that will culminate in the conclave starting on May 7, 2025, where 133 cardinal electors will gather to elect the 267th Pope. Their decision will shape the Church's direction on issues ranging from internal governance and doctrinal interpretation to social justice and global engagement. The circumstances surrounding Pope Francis's death reflect the health challenges that marked his final years. Although the exact cause was not immediately revealed, it seems his death was related to worsening health due to bilateral pneumonia, which led to his hospitalization in February 2025 for 38 days. His history of respiratory issues, including lung surgery in 1957 and recent cancellations due to the flu, may have contributed to his weakening condition. His final public appearance occurred just a day before his death on Easter Sunday, April 20th, 2025, during which he conducted the traditional Urbi et Orbi blessing and met with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. This meeting took place despite their previous disagreements on immigration policy and was one of his last diplomatic activities. The content of their conversation remains private, but it highlights Pope Francis's commitment to dialogue even in his final hours. Pope Francis's death sparked tributes from global leaders, reflecting his significant impact beyond the Catholic community. U.S. President Donald Trump called him a kind man who loved the world. While former U.S. President Barack Obama described him as a rare leader who makes us want to be better people, leaders from various religious and political backgrounds acknowledged his moral voice and commitment to peace, highlighting his global influence. As the Church prepares for the conclave, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle is considered a leading candidate to succeed Pope Francis. Often referred to as the Francis of Asia, Tagle represents the potential continuation of Pope Francis's progressive agenda. His election would be historic as the first Asian pope, reflecting the growth of Catholicism in Asia, particularly in the Philippines, where he serves as Archbishop of Manila. However, recent reports suggest that his position may be less secure than previously thought. The Guardian noted that he has recently lost some support, though the specific reasons remain unclear. This shift is reflected in the odds, with some sources indicating his odds have risen from 2.75 to 4 euro, signaling a potential decline in perceived support. Other cardinals have emerged as strong contenders, each bringing their strengths and perspectives. Pietro Parolin, the Vatican's foreign minister, is seen as a diplomatic figure and a candidate for continuity. Peter Codwell Apia Turkin from Ghana could become the first African pope in centuries, representing the growing presence of the Church in Africa. Fredolin Ambongo Basungu from Congo also represents Africa's growing Catholic population, bringing a perspective shaped by diverse cultural contexts. The upcoming conclave will not only select an individual, but also chart the course for the future of the Catholic Church in an increasingly divided world. Will the cardinals choose to continue Pope Francis's reform agenda by electing Tagle or another progressive candidate? Or will they select a more traditional figure who can reorient the Church's priorities? This decision will have profound implications for the 1.4 billion Catholics worldwide. The new pope will face significant challenges, including declining religious participation in many regions, ongoing abuse scandals, financial difficulties, and internal divisions. These issues require thoughtful leadership and bold reforms to maintain the Church's relevance and moral authority in a rapidly changing global context. The future of the Catholic Church is also tied to addressing pressing social and environmental issues. Pope Francis's emphasis on climate action, refugee rights, and economic justice sets expectations that any successor will need to address. The next pope must navigate complex geopolitical tensions while maintaining the Church's moral voice on issues like war, poverty, and human dignity. For Cardinal Tagle, the prospect of becoming pope is both an opportunity and a challenge. His close relationship with Pope Francis positions him as a candidate for continuity, but the controversies surrounding his leadership role raise questions about his readiness to address the Church's most urgent issues. The unique combination of a progressive pastoral approach and adherence to traditional doctrine makes him a complex figure capable of bridging divides within Catholicism. Pope Francis's legacy will undoubtedly influence this process. His emphasis on mercy, inclusivity, and care for creation has created expectations that any successor will need to address, either by continuing his approach or charting a new path. The global reaction to his death highlighted his significant impact beyond the Catholic community, setting a high standard for his successor to meet. The funeral arrangements for Pope Francis reflect his personal directives for simplified rites, focusing on faith in the resurrected body of Christ. His body was placed directly in the coffin after the confirmation of death, and the public visitation began on April 23, 2025, at St. Peter's Basilica. The funeral is expected to take place 4 to 6 days after his death, although the specific date has not yet been determined at the time of writing. After the funeral, the Church will enter the official phase of sede vacante, the vacant seat, during which the College of Cardinals manages the Church while preparing for the conclave. This papal interregnum symbolizes a time of reflection and discernment as the cardinals consider who best embodies the necessary qualities for effective leadership in today's rapidly changing global context. The conclave itself is scheduled to begin on May 7, 2025, and will take place at the Sistine Chapel, where the cardinals will be isolated from external influences as they vote for the next pope. The two-thirds majority requirement ensures that the successful candidate must garner support from multiple factions and regions, potentially leading to a compromise choice or an undesirable outcome. As the Church goes through this transition, the global Catholic community watches with anticipation and prayer. The choice of the next pope will not only represent a change in leadership, but also make a statement about the Church's priorities and direction in a world marked by division, inequality, and conflict. The uncertainty surrounding the Church's future reflects broader questions about the role of religion in contemporary society. Can the Catholic Church maintain relevance while staying true to its core doctrines? How will the Church address the diverse needs of the global faithful community? What voice will the Church take to address the most pressing challenges of humanity? The answers to these questions will emerge not only from the choice of the next pope, but also from how the entire Church responds to this transformative moment. Will it involve greater transparency and accountability? Will it continue efforts toward inclusivity while maintaining doctrinal integrity? Will it take a prophetic stance on issues like climate change, economic justice, and peace? For Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, who once aspired to become a doctor before finding his religious calling, the possibility of becoming pope represents an extraordinary journey of faith and service. Whether he will emerge as the 267th successor of St. Peter remains to be seen, but his candidacy itself signals a shift in the global face of Catholicism. After the death of Pope Francis, as the Church prepares for new leadership, Catholics around the world continue their personal and communal faith journeys. The institutional transitions at the highest level of church governance intersect with personal faith experiences, creating a complex picture of continuity and change that defines the past, present, and future of Catholicism. The legacy of Pope Francis, who sought to create a more humble, merciful, and committed church, is both an inspiration and a challenge for his successor. As Cardinal Farrell noted when announcing his death, Pope Francis taught the faithful to live the values of the gospel with loyalty, courage, and universal love in a special way to support the poorest and most marginalized. This commitment to authentic gospel values is perhaps his most enduring contribution to the church he led for 12 transformative years. As the Catholic Church stands at this crossroads, facing an uncertain future with both challenges and opportunities, the words of Cardinal Tagle offer a fitting perspective on leadership in times of transition. When asked about his own religious journey, he emphasized responding to God's call rather than pursuing personal ambition. "You know, I have a deep sense of not really making it my project. My project is to respond and let God call, you know. So even now, when I try to plan pastoral approaches or whatever, I make sure I'm not the one giving orders." This humble attitude of service, rather than power or control, could represent the most valuable quality for the next leader of the Catholic Church as they navigate the challenges and opportunities of an uncertain future. And it is from this sincere sharing that we see a key quality every leader should possess: humility and a spirit of service rather than power or control. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, with his heart responding to God's call, may be the next leader of the Catholic Church, making important decisions in a challenging context. So, what do you think about Cardinal Tagle's leadership style? Do you believe humility and service are essential qualities for a future leader of the Catholic Church? Don't forget to leave a comment with number 1 if you agree with Cardinal Luis Tagle, or number 0 if you have a different opinion. Share your thoughts with us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video popping up on your screen for more amazing content. See you in the next videos.